Hello, Allison. Thank you for being on the podcast. You're zooming in from where are you?
I'm in Sydney, Australia.
Sydney. I've never been there. I'm waiting for my invitation.
Well, you're more than welcome to come over anytime. I live on the beautiful beaches in the Sutherland Shire, so pop over and say hello.
Oh, I'll go as long as I don't have to join a cult. I'll come over.
No, absolutely not.
So you're saying that you listened to my podcast and now here you are on it.
Yeah, thank you. I did. I heard of you through some different podcasts that I listened to, and I listened to your first episode, and it was very confronting for me. So I just thought I'd reach out and say, thank you, and tell you a little bit about myself and why I did reach out. And the reason why I did was because I was in a cult.
Yes, I know. This is why this is perfect for me. It's perfect timing and it's kind of similar. Your journey's a little similar to what I'm going through on the other side. And I'm always so curious because it just continues. She's still in it,
Mhm.
my ex-wife, and it's difficult on it. The kids are in the other room right now and they
Yeah.
can't hear me, but they're doing well, all things considered. But it's really difficult to see someone. How did your loved ones? That's the thing. It's the loved ones
Mm.
that they care about you and they're concerned. And tell us a little bit. Give us the background.
Yeah, so I joined a professional growth cult in 2016, and I got brought into this cult through my beautician.
Mm.
She did some NLP on me one day to stop drinking Coca-Cola, and I was amazed at how quickly and effectively it worked. And I was looking for something. I have a background of addiction and trauma, and I was looking for something new and some purpose in my life. And after that NLP session, she was subliminally suggesting that maybe that this was something that I could do as well. And I went off to a weekend course, and my husband came with me. He's always been my
Oh
biggest
wow! Oh,
supporter.
another
Yeah.
another supportive husband. There you go.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Yes.
want to
And we
back.
would spend
I want to pause for just 1 second
mm.
because there are a lot of people that don't know what NLP is. I mean, I certainly do. Can you describe what it means and what they did exactly? Tell me some specifics to NLP. What she did with
Yeah.
you.
I have an adversity to NLP, but NLP is neuro linguistic programming.
Mhm.
It's not something that I practice or use in my field of work now. But basically, what she did was it's suggestions of what we could do with the Coca Cola. So instead of me actually drinking Coke, we gave it a terrible taste. We gave it a terrible smell, all the things that I really hated. Like, I don't like anchovies. So anytime I was going to taste a Coca-Cola, or I'd taste anchovies instead. So that the taste was the big thing for me. It's all done subconsciously, and it worked. It really worked. So the next time I went out and I drank a Coca-Cola, I was really sick. It was the worst thing, and I didn't touch Coke for a number of years after that.
Wow. Was it somewhat of a hypnosis almost? It offers
Not
suggestions. No, it's not
Yeah,
that.
not NLP. No, it's not that. It's you're very, very conscious. It could be done standing on a corner, having a chat to somebody. It can be used for good and it can be used for bad. You may or
Sure.
may not know, but there's a lot of salespeople that are put through NLP training. So,
Yeah.
you're buying the new car, and you need the car mats. Why do we need the car mats, and all the things that go along with that? So, but yeah,
It's
not
it
something that I like doing.
yeah, and it's somewhat of a sales technique. Exactly.
Mm.
People have techniques. I think that's what happened to my ex-wife. I wonder if the cult leader made her think that I was disgusting, like Coca-Cola. Maybe I
Well,
don't.
well, I can tell
She
you
definitely did.
how the
She definitely had this thing where I tried to kiss her. I remember, and all of a sudden she's gone. I literally, she had. It's funny. This is the first I'm ever hearing this, and maybe that was the
mm,
suggestion for her that I was disgusting, and she turned her head, moved to another room, and that was it. And yeah, she couldn't even look at me, and for no reason. And I guess that's kind of what cult leaders do. They use the NLP techniques. I don't know if it's specific to that, but or if Broke the cult leader did that with her.
yes.
It's I'm very curious to hear more about it. So it
Mm,
happened instantly. Suddenly you're off of the Coca-Cola. But now
yep.
I would imagine you're kind of empowering this person. You're thinking, wow, this person really has something good for me.
Absolutely, I was, and she was talking about the training. The training started off as a weekend training, and it was to go and, empower you to learn more skills to be able to help yourself. And I was teaching at the time. I was in one of our tertiary institutions, and I taught Advanced Diploma of Leadership and Management and our Work Health Safety program as well. I really liked what I was doing, but it wasn't like it wasn't soul filling. It wasn't my purpose. I didn't feel, and I had come through a journey where I'd been morbidly obese. I used to be 130 kilos. I drank every night of the week, and I'd made those transitions and changes myself, but I was still looking and seeking. So my husband Matthew, we're together now 32 years,
Mm, good for
and
you.
we've got two. Yeah, thank you, thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Um, we've two children, two boys. They're 22 and 20 now. And he came along to this weekend course with me, and he's in advertising and marketing. And on the weekend course, I felt so empowered. We walked up the stairwell to this, really nice hotel in Sydney overlooking the harbour. And, I was greeted with, well, the beautician was there, and, I was greeted with all these people saying hi and welcome. And I felt like I'd walked into this community, this tribe, and learnt techniques that weekend on hypnosis. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And my husband also knew that it was something that potentially I was capable of doing. And at the end, they did the big sell, if you sign up for our next program, which they called a master's program, then we will fly you to the Gold Coast for free. And it's only this amount of $1,000, and we can put you on a payment plan. And Matthew kept saying to me, just wait, Al. He said, just wait. If this is legit, it'll still be there in 6 weeks' time. It'll still be there in
Yeah,
6 months' time. And I'm like, no, no, I'm doing it now. I'm
of
doing it now. I'm
course.
getting into debt. I'm doing it now.
That's part of the NLP too, is it has to be now and the stakes are higher. If it's not now, it'll be never. That's part of
That's
the
right.
convincing that they do. Almost calling you a coward. I mean, I've had this happen
Oh,
before with other programs that I've been a part of. As yes, they shoehorn you into this thing, and you almost feel guilty if you leave. So of
yes.
course they have you in a
Yeah.
vulnerable state. This is an odd question, but during this process, were you not eating much in the seminars that you were going to? Because that's another thing that your alpha state is slowed, and it's slowed down if you don't feed it. So
Yeah.
was that part of it too? Was it keeping you in the
Yep.
same room with the peer pressure and all that?
And the dark room, no natural light. All of the natural light was blocked out.
Yeah.
The coaches sitting up the back of the room. So if you did need to leave to go to the bathroom or anything, there was an uncomfortability on actually moving out of the room. The Everyone dressed. It was quite funny. Everyone's dressed in corporate attire, suits. And I'd known my beautician for a few years, and she didn't wear suits. It's not what she did, but she's sitting on the back of the room with her skirt and her blazer on. And but it attracted me. I was
Yeah.
looking, and all the coaches were like, oh, this is amazing, and we're doing all this great stuff. Then I found out they don't get paid for it, that none of that stuff happens. So yeah, it was, when you can look back, it's a really interesting process, that initial walking up the stairs and how they made me feel,
Yeah.
and then getting in that room, and they made me feel so special. And I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do. I need to do this.
You use the word tribe. That's exactly what they rely on as well. I mean, I see Lotus's posts, and she often refers to what she's in as a tribe. She went to one, it was
Mm.
10,000 people for one of the products that she's involved with. And there they were cheering, and they really believe it. There's no question.
Yeah.
I've been a part of that too. I was in multi-level marketing before. I remember I was
Mm.
21 years old. I went to the Amway. I don't know if you ever heard of Amway, if they have the
Yes.
Amway there, but I was literally 21 years old. And they said, Well, for 6 hours a week, you can make $1 million a year. I'm going, okay, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
That's how I cheered. I'm going to be a diamond direct distributor. I'm going to be a diamond. They're showing us yachts and everything else. A
Yes.
21-year-old kid. I'm going, this is the easy way. I love this. We all want
Yeah.
that pathway to enlightenment, but we don't really want to work
Mm.
for it. And that's an instant pathway when you have people that are literally lighting the path for you right there,
Yeah.
right there. Do it now.
Absolutely.
Seize
In
this
that second.
opportunity. And I think there are many more people that are in cults that don't realize. I've been part of cults. I've been,
Mm.
Landmark Forum and
Mm.
LifeSpring and all these things. But I've had the good fortune of not going full in. Like as soon as they
Mm.
start to go upper level with me, like you got to be, sorry. And I can walk away no matter how
Mm.
much guilt comes my way. A lot of people can't. And I
No.
think that's what happened with you. You couldn't walk away. How long did you stay?
So after I reached out, I actually sat down and did a timeline. I thought it was 9 months, and I said to Jordan it was 9 months. It wasn't. I was actually 18 months
Oh, geez. Double.
from start to finish. And it it was good. Like it was really good in the beginning. The tactics used to find out vulnerabilities, as you said before, and really play on those, especially when we went away for the 3 weeks to this master's course.
Yeah.
And you're on the Gold Coast, you're away from family, you're in a dark, locked room with 50 other people
Mm.
for 17 days. And you're doing the processes, you're doing the timeline transformations, you're doing all of the different things and really reassessing your life. So I was 48 at the time when all of this is happening. And, kids were growing up. My husband and I had been together for a long time and our relationship was stale. We'd, stopped communicating. We were grunting
Mm.
at each other in the hallway and
Mm.
all the good stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was made to believe, and I now know looking back, that it was suggested to me that my husband was actually holding me back.
Oh my God, this is why you're on the podcast. That's exactly what her leader did to her. First, the leader
Mm.
did it, and they went to Australia. Actually, is when it all started.
Yes, I heard that. They went and did some dancing thing in Australia
Oh
somewhere.
my God, yes, something I paid for that too. Is to her to go up and learn this dance with her tribe leader, and then they did this dance. Like, what the hell did that do? Did that make you a dime? I mean, it's this false intimacy that takes place.
Mm.
And it takes the place of working on your own intimacy, of working stronger and harder into that because yeah, it's easier to go, oh, these people are praising me, these people love me. It's that false love, and that's what they propose. And I get it. And it's just like peer pressure. It's like anything.
Mm.
It's gangs of people. This is how they act. It's how people,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And there's pressure. And especially if you're at a time in your life where you're just going, I need a kick here.
Mm.
I'm off of the Coca-Cola. I need another kick here. And I think it's a dopamine hit. I think they're really going for the dopamine hits
Yeah,
that we
and
become addicted to.
they're very good at playing like the leaders and the coaches in the group are very good at playing with that dopamine and then taking it away from you and then giving it back, like the real narcissistic tendencies in these groups, and looking at what they are still doing now today. And people that I was in there with in 2016 are still there and still paying money for you talk about it on your podcast. You're going to become a coach and then you're going to coach other coaches to coach, and it's like an MLM, right? And then it's yeah, and the uncomfortability in that. And then they were involved with an MLM, which was a vitamin
Mm,
company.
of course, yeah.
So you had to get involved with that, and if you didn't, the guilt that surrounded that. And every time I went to sell this product, which made me very sick, like
Oh
it
my
didn't
God.
agree with me at all. Yeah,
Wow.
I felt so bad and I felt so guilty. And in the end, I just said, I can't do this. It doesn't align with my business values. So yeah.
Yeah, and they all have whatever people are selling in these MLMs, they all have like little tricks. They'll say, "Oh, here, do a stress test," and it's some BS stress test or whatever it is. Or she has a water machine that she sells. I never
Oh,
noticed a single difference in this water machine. It was like $5,000, and that's supposedly going to make us rich. Now, was there some also promise of that you will improve your relationship with your husband, or is it pretty much, hey, we're going to get you out of there?
Yeah, no, so they wanted me out. I became a poster pin-up girl for the company very quickly. So I actually quit my government job that I've been doing for a number of years, and I started my own hypnotherapy business off the back of that weekend course.
Mm.
In Australia, hypnotherapy is not regulated. I'm now on the board. I was on the board of the Australian Hypnotherapists Association. I'm now a board member. We're working really hard to lobby the government to get it made accredited. So basically, Craig, if you're in Australia, you could go on to Udemy, you could do a hypnotherapy course and hang out a shingle and say, I'm a hypnotherapist now. Now, that's where I started, and that's basically what I did. And I spoke to Sarah Edmondson from A Little Bit Coldy back in 2019 because I had a very conflicted view on, well, that's where I started, and they gave me that. They allowed me to have the skills and the confidence to be able to do that. But everything else that they did was not right, and it was wrong. And I've since gone on and done my diploma of clinical hypnotherapy. I did it with a company in the UK because it's all recognised, registered, accredited in the UK. So I did it with a company in the UK, which is why I'm part of the Australian Hypnotherapists Association. So there's little things that happened during that time, like you don't need to be qualified was the biggest thing. Oh, and two, of course, you are in a cult and people are going to tell you you're in a cult. But if it's a cult of happy people, why wouldn't you want to be in that cult?
Oh, yes. And if it's brainwashing, it's cleansing because my brain
Yeah,
is cleansed. There's all of these lines that goes, every one of them says the same
yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
you
yeah.
basically, because these are lines, that these are NLP lines.
Yes.
It's what's really the tragedy about all of this is there are great groups in every single aspect of life. There's all great groups. It's when it gets bastardized by selfish people who just have these other agendas or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then they ruin it for everyone because then you just go down this dark road and it's very difficult to get out.
Mm. Yeah, it really is. And it's like I came home from that course, that 3-week course. I got into the car. My husband picked me up at the airport. I got into the car and I just looked at him and I said, I'm leaving you. And
No.
he's yeah. And this is what I was like. I was on this high, this adrenaline, and Matt's a very sensible man. And he's like, well, let's talk this through. Why? And I'm like, you're holding me back. You
Yeah.
haven't allowed me to do this in my business.
Wow.
Because of what he does. He's my website designer, he's my look and feel, he's all of this. And yeah, I went home and I spoke to the children and I said, I'm leaving Dad. And they're like, why? And
Wow.
I just,
I have chills.
yeah,
I'm sure from listening to my podcast, you know the
mm,
similarities with this is it's a
absolutely.
freight train that comes out of nowhere. You're just
Oh,
walking in a field that has no tracks, and all of a sudden a freight train comes along, just runs you right over. And I've actually, I almost want to go backwards in the
mm,
podcast and start over with another prologue because some people are seeing it, not that many, but they're seeing as this bitter ex-husband, and that's what this podcast is about. But it's really about the perspective of your husband and other people
mm,
that have things happen to them like this. That it's not about the bitterness over a divorce. First of all, the divorce, I guess in your case, it shouldn't be happening. Because
mm,
a divorce, you really have to put everything in first, and then possibly you surrender because you're not meant to be together. You were together for 30 some years, and suddenly, because you're in this group and they encourage you, it's over.
it's over.
And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
marriage takes more than that. Marriage takes more commitment than that. And now, would you say something? I don't want to be
Mm,
sexist, but I'll ask it as a question so it's not sexist. Do you think that
mm.
women are more vulnerable to things like this than men?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The
I,
majority of the women, the majority of the people in the room were women. And the
yeah.
majority of the people that still are on, because I went and had a look at their social media. It's not something that I follow anymore. And the majority of people commenting on his posts, they're all women. They're all women.
Yeah, and it turns into man hate a lot of times. It really does. Like the man's holding you back. Like that's a victim
Yeah.
stance as well. I mean, there's really, I know for a fact I did the opposite. I actually
Mhm.
supplied all the money for all of these efforts and all these MLMs. She was in a cult before this, supported that.
Yeah.
I never even talked
Yeah.
about this on the I don't think I talked about, she was in another cult also in between this. Which I sent her that one because I thought that would help her, just to deprogram what she was doing. I would try anything. I just really, it's just so, it's so devastating
Mm,
to pick up these pieces and to have
mm.
children subjected to it. That's the thing, is your children were probably shocked by this because they probably didn't see you fight, right?
Never,
Yeah, see, that's the
never.
same thing here. We didn't fight, so it's not like the children. I turned to my kids. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I said, "What are you going to tell your spouses if you get married or whatever?
Mm,
The reason your parents got divorced." The only answer was, "Mommy was brainwashed by broke."
mm.
That was the only. They know that that's the answer. They watched it happening. But that's the thing, is having no reason. Did your children say anything like that to you? You've been brainwashed. Did they confront you and ask you to analyze yourself some more, to give it more process? Did they do that?
Yeah, so our eldest son was 15 at the time, and he's
Oh,
very intuitive. He's very empathic, and
same.
it was like it was so weird how it all happened. I ended up getting a unit, a beautiful unit on the beach in Cronulla, very cheap rent, which isn't heard of. It was like it was meant to happen this way. And Matt, God love him, he let me go. He said, I can't I can't control any of this. You're going to go and do what you want to do. Just be safe. I love you. And he let me go, and it was very amicable. There was no money, like I didn't get support or anything like that. I said to him, no, I'm making this decision. There wasn't large amounts of money anyway. We opened a joint bank account where we both put the same amount of money in for the kids for the schooling,
Sure.
and then we had them 50-50. And they would go between our houses. I felt a lot of guilt for that. And
Yeah, I mean, that's not what the
our
kid. That's what I say, is it's not what the kids signed up for. There's no
no,
soul contract that says, "Hey, at any time you can tear this contract up with no vetting, no, really hard work on self." It's just, yeah, go to the first people that say, "Get out of there." It's amazing to
yeah.
me how people can be okay, look at themselves in the mirror and say it's okay to break up marriages. These are families. For the rest, it's generational trauma that's caused. These kids, my kids, will never ever forget this. And
No.
what does it
No,
say
and
for,
mine don't either.
what does it say for their love life in the future? What kind of indication is this? What kind of lesson are you teaching when you can go that fast just based on mood swings or emotions? I did hear something the other day. One of the things I haven't announced yet is I joined a men's group. And I'm really happy I did. I stayed away from it for years. I wouldn't do it because I was
Mm,
convinced by women that it's misogynist, it's sexist, a bunch of, guys, and all that. And it's the opposite. It's like really good guys. And they said something the other day. It's just a flat statistic. 70% of divorces are women leaving.
mm,
It's 70%. Usually, but the guy gets the tag of "you pig," or "what'd you do?" They always say to me, "What'd you do?" The men always get blamed, but on the side, this is what's happening. It's insidious. It's this toxic femininity. Go get your freedom and
mhm.
all that. Sounds like they were convincing you that you were not free.
Absolutely,
And what an
absolutely. And you
illusion!
talk about the golden cage or the gilded cage you
Yeah, the
talk
golden.
about.
I had her in a
Yeah,
golden cage. They literally call, and
yeah.
her sovereign freedom. I'll never forget those two words. And again, this isn't some bitter ex-husband. This is a man that says, I love this woman,
Mhm,
married her, accepted the vows of marriage and committed to this. And for it to end that fast and that easy, and then to have all the stealing and all the violence and all
mm,
that attached to it, it's just amazing to me. That tells you how powerful these cults are, that she could be okay with it,
yeah,
completely
yeah.
just cut off. Somebody
Yeah,
told me the
she's
other day, somebody said, I ran into someone who's a clinical psychologist who actually is friends with her. And she said, well, she's probably bipolar. So there's,
mm,
there's a mental that she's not dealing with. And,
mm.
but how do you, how do you intervene with that? How did they intervene with you? Was it a gradual process? Were your children saying something to you? You had a 15, what's the other age?
So the other one was 13, and he was totally disconnected. He's a bit of a computer geek. He's now doing computer sciences at uni. So he was very, very disconnected from it. He just sort of plodded along. But our eldest son, James, he was very connected with everything that was going on, and he saw what was happening with me. He saw a side of I'm putting out there on social media that everything's amazing, everything's wonderful, everything's great, but I'm sitting at home of a night drinking and absolutely miserable, and like it was just
It's so
it was
parallel. I can't believe
yeah,
how
and
parallel it is to my story here. It's amazing. And I think this is
yeah,
the reason I do the podcast. I guarantee there are lots of people that are identifying with this. If it's not specific,
hopefully.
it's in general, this general thing of it. You just lose yourself within the
Hmm.
structure that they have, this NLP hypnosis, if you will. I won't say hypnosis because that's your business, but
That's okay.
it,
You're more than welcome to say that. It's
well,
all good.
it's a form of it. It's some sort
Yeah.
of it's brainwashing, and
Mm.
there are techniques to brainwashing that take place, and they're pretty consistent. No matter where you're finding it, it's
And
pretty consistent.
we say, I say as a hypnotherapist that I can't make anyone do anything they don't want to do. And that's true. That is
Yeah,
very true. So what they're doing is they find out what our weaknesses are, they find out what changes we want to make in our life, and they play on them. And the sleep deprivation, the food deprivation, the light deprivation, the
yeah.
not knowing what time it is. And it was quite funny, the venue that they picked for us to do this 3 weeks at is on the border of New South Wales and Queensland. So with daylight savings, you'd walk out of the room and go across one street and it'd be one time, and then you come back to the room and it'd be another time, because it was literally on the border. So there was so much confusion about what time it actually was, even though it
Right.
was only an hour difference. It was
Yeah.
really confusing.
Wow. Everything to confuse.
Yes, absolutely.
Having your wits about you is not what it's about. I love what you were saying about social media, how everything looks good.
Mm, mm,
That's the key, isn't it? It's what it looks like. And I am so frustrated when I read these things, and I want to announce. I actually have gone on. Of course, they rip me down and block it right away. I know what the truth is. It's
mm.
absolute lies. Were you lying on social media about how happy you were? Were you lying about the money you were making? I mean, was it basically you told yourself maybe you just got in denial over it? Is that what happened?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question. So, in regards to the money that I was making, no, that wasn't a lie. I'm not one of these people. I never did the rolling around on the bed with cash thing, or speaking of how much money I was making or how many clients I saw. That wasn't something that I ever did. I think my internal values were very, very strong in regards to things like that. And I had a block with money, or I still do have a block with money, actually. So I didn't want to go out there boasting that I was earning six figures, but I did. My multi-level marketing part of it was I ran a course called How to Open Your Own Six-Figure Business as a Hypnotherapist, because I went from having no clients to being booked out, 2 weeks ahead within a 6-month period. So
Yeah.
this was something that I became very good at very quickly, and very well known in our area of someone that. And I started off just helping people stop smoking.
Right.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
a great, and it's you're providing a wonderful service. It's fantastic.
thank you. Thank you.
I think that they believe this group, they believe that they're providing services. My
Your
daughter.
beautiful puppy.
I believe that they think that they're providing good services. Can you shut the door, honey? I love you. How you doing? Oh, she's a little sick, daughter. She's just,
Oh,
but I think that there's something that just goes on that removes some values, but it sounds like you held on to your values and
Yeah,
moral standards. It sounds that way, except for the honoring the vows
except
of
for the
marriage.
yeah, the leaving of the family. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's I don't know whether that's because of my childhood trauma that I just couldn't lose myself to that extra level. Like, we were doing there was a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear of getting into trouble and doing things wrong, and actually having a voice. I was never allowed to speak up as a child. Children should be seen and not heard. We got punished if we spoke. Well, I in particular got punished if I spoke out of turn. So there was a lot of that, and the group actually did help me find my voice on social media. When what we were talking about before, like I was portraying that, I was, living at Cronulla and living the life and on the beach and doing this and doing that. But, as I said, I was at home drinking a bottle of wine every night to myself.
Mm.
The Now my social media is very authentic. I do a lesson most days on my social media, and I think I'm up to like lesson 2309, and you can go all the way back to 2017, where there is actually videos of me where I'm crying because I'm in a state of absolute panic and shock about what was happening and how I was getting out of the group. There was a lot of that. They did a lot of controlling around my social media and what I put out there. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
there's a
And you emulate what they tell you to basically
yeah,
a style that they take. They have the same exact style. It's
absolutely.
amazing to me that I'm like,
Yeah.
can't you be a little original here? It's like word for word how our guru does it.
Yeah, and even the look, like
Yeah.
I'm very casual. If I was seeing clients today, I'm sitting in here in a pair of jeans and a shirt, and this is how I see my clients. But it's like, oh no, when you do your live videos, your lessons are great that you're doing, but you should do your hair and you should put makeup on. I'm like, that's not what I do. I don't do my hair and makeup, but oh no, that's what you should do. And I'm like, okay, so started doing that when I started coaching at their weekend courses. I was wearing business suits, which I'd done in the past because I was from a corporate background, but all those suits came out of the wardrobe. And it's like, this is not who I am at all. But I was promised a lot of stuff. Like I was promised that I was going to take over and I was going to be the person on stage that was, you know, teaching people all of this stuff, which is repackaged Landmark Forum, it's repackaged Tony Robbins, it's all of that. There's nothing
Yeah.
original. But
Right.
when you've never heard it before, when
Right.
you don't know who Tony Robbins is and you don't know Landmark, when you've never heard it before, it's like, this stuff is life changing. I need to get it out there. I need to be telling the masses. And how can I do that? What's the way that I can do that? So
Well, the
that's
key,
how I,
I think the key is that they get you at the exact moment you need to hear the same things that are out there. Like you said, they're so similar. They borrow from one another. Tony, go way back with Tony. He's taking it from Dale Carnegie and all that. All
yeah.
this has been around for years. It's sales techniques. That's the way it is. And I just don't. I can't get into it. I wish I was better at it, actually. I wish I could recruit some people for what I got, because I think I could start a great cult. You know what my cult is? Laughter.
Laughter.
I literally teach the alchemy of laughter. And
Mm,
come join me. You know what I mean? I do
yeah.
have groups. So I have the Enlightened Up group and things like that. But it's funny because I don't use the techniques. The groups don't really
Mm,
last, and they don't really have that much support and strength because I don't dedicate myself to it. I think it takes, tell me if you think this is right, because I thought about this a lot. My dad's a cult leader. My dad was a cult leader for years, many years. And I watched it happening. I watched how strong he was, committed he was. Here it is, to oneself. You got to be committed to your narcissism.
yeah, 100%. And two, I also think you have to have a partner that's a narcissist as well, has narcissistic tendencies as well.
Really?
Yeah.
A
So
partner, in business, or your spouse?
I'm going to say spouse. If I look at the two that were leading this group, I know she had a lot to do with it. She'd just sit at the back of the room and would occasionally get up and speak. They ran a relationship
Oh,
course as
I
well
see.
of
I thought you meant your spouse.
oh, no, sorry, no,
He sounds like
the
a
the
humble dude.
leaders.
I don't even know who he is, but
Yeah,
he sounds like a
he
humble
is.
dude who's just like, "What the
Yeah.
hell's going on here?" But yeah, I was
Mhm.
gonna say, I thought, oh yes, the broke has the
Yeah.
ultimate narcissist who came to me and threatened me to take my children away. A guy I never met my kids. That's
Mhm.
narcissism to the 100th degree. And it's amazing how narcissists will accuse you of being a narcissist. It's the bummer
And
about what's that?
they set me up with a new guy.
What? No.
Yes.
Well, this is
So this
this is getting us
y
to be a sordid tale here. So you're living in another place.
Mhm.
You have this business that's going. You're drinking on the
Mhm.
side. You're putting out these
Mhm.
videos dressed like the way you don't want to dress. They got you to do 50-50 custody. This is going on. And then to top it all off, they find you a dude, a narcissist for you to team up with. Well, tell me about you. Tell me about
100%.
you and your self-assessment now. You seem so humble. I have to
Mm,
compliment you, by the way. You're just such a
mm.
humble, good person.
Oh,
Which, by
thanks,
the
Gregor.
way, and this is exactly how I feel about my ex-wife.
Mm,
I mean, I know that underneath, I mean, I married the most amazing woman in the world. She was amazing, humble and smart and fun and funny and clever and all of that stuff. It was there, and it's not there anymore.
mm.
It
Well, I listened to your interview with Steve Hassan, and I know he said to you she's still there and that, there's still a chance that an intrinsic value, which I always had, there is still a chance that that may come back and that, she may eventually one day get out.
Yeah, she seems like she's doubling, tripling down, though. I mean, really,
Mm.
I got a letter from her lawyer today. This is the first I'm talking about this, and I actually wrote back to the lawyer. Is there any compromise in here? She just doesn't compromise. She's just such a
Oh.
bully. Narcissists are such bullies. It's amazing, and they prey upon people like us. They prey
Mhm.
upon people like me and your husband who are like vulnerable and good people and family values, and we really want things to be right, and we'll adjust and sacrifice and all that stuff. I sacrificed my ass off. I work my ass off. I just got back from the road. I'm exhausted right now. And I have the kids right away, right back to that, and it's just really, really difficult because you
Mhm.
get married because you both have equal parts with the kids. Now it's like completely separate. So it's 100% with the kids and
Mhm.
100% with the kids. So it's very, very difficult. You have to do laundry, all that stuff that comes with a blow up, and you blew yours up fast too. It was sudden.
Very quick.
You got,
Yeah.
you
And
got,
then it was all over and done with it within 6 months. It
yes,
had all collapsed. Everything had
uh,
collapsed within 6 months. And it was because I had found out that the guy that they'd set me up with, who we started to get into a relationship. He actually didn't live in the same state as me. He lived in Perth, which is a 3-hour time difference behind. Um, where I was opening my business with him in Perth, and I'd found a premises, or he'd found the premises, rented a premises, all under my business name, everything like this. We weren't allowed to tell anybody, and then advertise it on the 1st of May 2017. And within 15 minutes of it going up on social media, I had 8 women messaging me going, "How do you know this person? What's your relationship with him? I'm in a relationship with him, blah, 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 blah." Craig, there ended up being 22 women.
oh,
And
wow.
how it went south was I reached out to the leader of the group and I said, "This is what's happening. I know he's now with other women in the group as well." I had to prove that we were in a relationship together that wasn't a business relationship. So, because he'd said, "Oh no, Alison's crazy. We're in a business relationship. There's nothing personal happening here at all."
Oh,
And I had to prove that we were. So then I I gave them what I now know is called collateral, and I know that through watching The Vow and speaking to Sarah
right.
Edmondson.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Right.
So I gave over all this collateral, not thinking, I'm just like, I have to prove that I was right. And this is childhood trauma. You've always got to prove that you're right. Otherwise, you're wrong and you're going to get into trouble.
Not only prove you're right, you got to be a good girl. You got to be a good girl.
Yep,
I had to be a good boy. You know,
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
how we live. We want to look good and get the kudos, and you're good people, and not be criticized and
Hmm.
vilified. We just want to keep it safe and stuff like that, and we end up, on the other side of some really bad stuff. But that's
Shit.
incredible.
Yeah.
And they fixed you
Yeah.
up with him
Yeah, they did. I know now that
on a
they did,
date.
that it was,
Was it called a
well, it was,
date?
no, 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 no. So he approached me at the course, and
Yeah.
like, this is going to show you how not in my mind or body that I was.
And by the
And
way,
this is
just note, this is
yeah.
another parallel. She's with a guy now that somehow met at a conference, and he lives a couple time zones away, and now the kids are afraid that that's who she. Did your kids ever meet this guy?
No,
Oh,
never.
okay, you didn't go that far. Mine
No,
haven't
no.
either. They don't want to, but same thing. Another state, the whole thing set up, and I've been checking this guy out, and he's got a little record. What do you do about it, though? That
Mm.
it took these women to go to you. Now, was that your wake up call, by the way? The other women saying something, was that like one of the?
No,
It still wasn't. Ha!
no, because
Oh
he
my
was telling
God.
me that, oh no, they're all crazy. I don't know them. I met them, blah blah blah. He was in our police force and very high up in the Australian police force.
Wow.
Um,
That is
but
crazy.
he walked up to me in the course, and this is really embarrassing, and I'm going to share it because it'll just show you how vulnerable I was. He walked up to me and he said to me, "Has anyone ever told me that you're a whip?" And I went, "A whip? What is a whip?" And he goes, "A woman who's hot, intelligent, and in her prime." And I went, "Oh my God. Oh my God, aren't you amazing?" That is where I was.
Well, you also probably weren't hearing that every day from your husband. I mean, sometimes when you get married, you don't hear that all the time. You kind of get used to each other. So sure, it's like the next
Yep.
best thing that comes along, and they're absolutely going to praise you. And that's the biggest
Mhm.
key to the cult. They praise. They're
Yes.
giving you something
So
you're not getting, or you're used to it, or you're not even hearing it. I praised her all the time, but not enough. You can't have enough. If somebody has that not enough disease, which you had as well, you got to go
mhm,
get it somewhere. So he appealed it. He called you a whip. Now you're in.
a whip. Now,
Right.
now,
Now you're
yep,
even in business.
absolutely.
You're even in business with him.
Yeah, I nearly started a business. What happened was on the 1st of May when all of that happened and the women started reaching out to me, the first thing I did was I can't do this. I cannot jeopardize. I'd worked hard to get to where I was at that stage. Um, I was 12 months into the business, but the business was doing really well. So I just went, no, I can't jeopardize that. The what I then did was I reached out to the leaders, both of them, husband and wife, and I said, "This is what's going on." They said, "You need to prove it to us because he's telling us it's a business relationship." So I did, and I gave them a list of women that they needed to speak to that were in the group that I felt that he'd been approaching as well.
Mm.
A week after, one of the women that was on that list reached out to me to ask me if I was okay, and I said, "Well, how do you think I feel? How do you feel about it?" And they hadn't told her. It was like at that from that point on, I was shunned. I was excommunicated. They told me that they kicked him out of the group, but I was still in. I was in their top tier program, which I was paying 2,000 Australian dollars a month for to get one,
Of
yeah, one-on-one coaching. There was the elite. There was only 5 of us in this group.
course,
Um,
that's how they do it too. They level you because you want to go to
right.
a higher level. That's what they.
Yes.
Oh, wow! Come be a master. Join the
Yes.
master class. Only the elite can be part of the master class. And now there's the. Let me ask you this: at
Mm,
home, let's go back to the home with your kids.
mm,
Also similar with our journey is my kids are around the same age. One is 15 and one is almost 11. So you had a 13 and a 15.
yeah.
What did you feel any guilt? Did you feel any I'm sure they were not happy about this and they must have
No.
expressed it. What did you do with their
Mm.
pain?
I tried to get them to join the group.
What? What? Kids? They allow kids in here? Oh, you would sponsor them, and then the money would go, it circulates within the family, that kind of thing, because you're in the up level or whatever they call it, right?
Yeah, well, more
You
more to
try
the
to get your
fact that
kids. That's you
oh
really
yeah.
got sucked in. Wow.
Yeah, so my beautician, her daughter was part of the group, and they were on Channel 7 and Channel 9, and they'd done the Today Show, and they're literally saying there's this 11-year-old going out hypnotizing people.
Mm. I I'm gonna talk to my kids after this.
Yeah,
She does breath work. That's her thing. Does it very well,
that's
by the way.
good.
She does it really. She's really good at it. I mean, I've done it with
Breathwork's
her
great.
when we were together. Yeah, I was high as a kite. I was on acid or something. I ended up laughing. That's my jams. I like to laugh. I ended up laughing hysterically, like hilarious. Just I couldn't stop. It was like a drug. It was amazing. And that's what, took me to there. I wish we did a little more of that. I
Mhm,
have to ask you this.
mm.
I love how personal you are, and I appreciate that, by the way. I really do. Thank you for
Thank
that,
you.
for being so transparent, which a lot of these groups claim transparency and authenticity. They use those words, they bandy them about, but they're anything but. They're actually
Yeah.
flat out liars and con artists and crooks and grifters. But they act like they're the opposite. That's why when the wellness area, they're always going to look good, whether it's hypnosis or spirituality or a vitamin or good water or whatever it is. That's the business they're in. It lures people in because they're going, "Oh wow, look at me! I'm a good person now. I'm in the wellness community."
Yeah.
What kind of spiritual practices did you have as a child? After you got married, what did you come from? Religious wise, spiritual wise, prayer, meditation, anything like that?
Nothing. Nothing.
Just
We went
alcohol? You
to
bow to the
yeah.
alcohol gods?
Yeah, we went to Sunday school when we were
You
little,
did.
but it wasn't. I was baptized Baptist Church of England. I think
You
don't
you
even
you
know.
you just did it because the parents told you to, and it
Ah,
was good and all that kinda stuff, but you didn't really have, like,
yeah.
some base of God, higher source, higher power, none of that. Okay.
No, and parents very. They're now 84 and 83, and very. Anything alternate was seen as woo woo and you didn't do it.
Of
And,
course.
I wanted to go and see a naturopath when I was about 24. And it was like, oh no, you don't go and see a naturopath and they're all, shonks and everything's a scam. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, very much. Starting the business, when I started the business, they were my biggest, naysayers. There was no support there from my parents whatsoever, which I didn't really expect. But yeah, yeah.
But
And
but
the
was there any element of rebel in you, in staying in the thing?
oh, in staying in the group? No, no, there
No?
was no element of rebel. It was I thought I was doing that. I thought we were gonna save the world. I thought that I could educate, people. They're telling me that me and this guy were gonna take over the business because, his wife wanted to have babies. So, the leader and his wife wanted to have babies, so they needed people to take over. There was no way they were ever giving up the reins. It was never happening. They were all just promises, but they did things like, at the weekend course that I went and crewed on in Sydney, they got me up talking on stage to tell of my journey and what I'd done and how the course had helped. And then I went to Perth and I was crewing at Perth and they got me on stage and I was recruiting people, Craig, from Perth. I recruited about 15 people to go to this 3-week thing that I was supposed to see money for and never saw a cent.
So
I
thing.
never I I never made any money from any of this. I was in debt about $35,000.
Oh my, isn't it amazing? That's what I can't understand with Lotus, how she doesn't look at the bank. I called her on it. I don't know if you've heard this in an episode. I called her on. I said, okay, you're either lying on the court documents where I have to pay you money. That's like, if you're
Mhm.
making all this money, I want to get paid. I'll get something out of this. This is a tragedy in my life. I've had nothing but really difficult circumstances due to all of it that's happened. It just blew everything up. There's bills that would not have been there. I mean, all of this, it's just
Mhm.
really, it's a nightmare. So I said, okay, are you making all that money or promise? So you're either lying to the people on your posts or you're lying to me. Take a guess which one she's lying to.
Yeah, you.
No.
Oh, the people on the post.
Yes. She's not
Oh,
making money. She's like you. You said you were
sorry.
$35,000 in debt. She's in
Mm.
debt. She's got no money. She's
So,
probably
so
got it. Now,
how?
let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Did this guy give you? I'm sick of all these parallels, but did he
Mm,
also juice you a little money? Did he help you out
no,
financially, or oh no, okay.
absolutely not.
I
No,
think this guy must
absolutely
be
not.
helping her. I mean, I don't know how
Yeah.
she's doing it. She pays $4,500 a month rent. She makes minimum wage. She makes less than a burger flipper. It's just
And see, this is the
amazing.
thing, right? I was paying rent. I rented a room that I was doing my business from. I was paying money into an account.
Right.
I had no money, but I was still paying them $2,000 a month as a minimum for this,
Right.
accelerated group that I was in, plus all the money for the other courses. So, and it's like you've got to find it. You've got to find it. This is for your personal growth. You'll find the money. Put in the money, and the money will come. And just and what you've just brought up is really important, because I now help people through my counseling and hypnotherapy to recognize that they're actually in a cult, and to help them deprogram and get out of cults. And the first question I ask, Craig, and I think you'll appreciate this, is, can you tell me how much debt you're in?
Mm.
Now, I can tell you now, every single person that is sat in the chair cannot tell me how much debt they're in. They might have, 7 courses that they owe, that they're on payment plans for, but, $25 a week's coming out for this one and $100 a week's coming out for that one. I had a young girl, she was 23. She was from a low socioeconomic background. She worked casually. She had no money. She had no family support. And she was going to be this up and coming coach from a totally different group.
Mm.
And that's the first thing. Like, she came to me because her anxiety was really high. And, she started talking about this. And I'm sitting in there in the chair opposite her going, oh my God, you're in a cult. You are in a cult. I know exactly what you're talking about. So I started asking her some questions about the group and about how she felt. And then I said to her, so how much debt are you in? And she's like, I don't know. And she went home and she worked it out. She was in $28,000 worth of debt.
Mm. A
And she's
23-year-old.
got, yeah, and she's got no money. Like, there's no money, there's
Yeah,
nothing.
and there's no money coming in. It's amazing to me how people can actually do this to others. That's the thing. And how I always did that expression, when they put their head on the pillow, what are they
How
thinking?
do they sleep?
How do
Yeah. How do they go
how
to sleep
you put
overnight?
your head on the pillow, I put my head on the pillow, I have a lot of thoughts. My thoughts
Mm,
are, what can I do about this? And I also look at my part in it. I always look at my role in it. Well, I look at how, if I make things worse or if I make things better, whatever it is. But I don't put my head on a pillow, go, you stole, you were unkind, you were cruel. That's something that doesn't come up because it's just not there. What's funny though is narcissists will make you think. Did you ever do that with your, well, he was your ex-husband, but did you ever do that with him? Like, accuse him of things that really you were guilty of, or say that he was, analyze him, criticize him, vilify him? Did you get
Oh,
kind of
100%.
kind of justify your
Any,
actions?
yeah, anything he'd done in the past, I brought it up. And just to let you know, we got back together and we are stronger than we ever have been.
I was getting to that. I wanted to save it
Ah,
because I wanted that to be the conclusion.
oh, I'm
It's okay. No, it's okay. We're
sorry.
approaching, so that's meant to be. We're approaching that time because we have been on
Mm,
for quite some time. It's gone
oh,
over. It's gone so well. I love talking to you. It's
oh,
amazing to
thank
me. The
you.
parallels are ridiculous. I'm sure you thought that when you were
Mm,
listening to my
I
podcast.
did,
It's crazy.
absolutely.
Even the
Yeah,
fact that your guy was in another state and they fixed it. I mean, all that stuff, and the whole thing with another narcissist and all that stuff. It's amazing to me, the parallels
mm,
and they're the methods that they use. And
I,
that's
and
why I
it's
have
and it's
this podcast. This
everywhere.
podcast is not a complaining ex-husband.
No, no.
This is a man of hope and faith that this woman can be restored. So that's where I'm going to talk to you now. Now that you brought
Mm,
it up.
mm,
I want to hear the intervention or something that happened,
mm.
the epiphany. This is the moment in our script that's very important. We've got the bottom. Now you're in debt. You're with a
Yep.
guy who's a creep, and he's with a number of different women. You've been fixed up with this guy. He's bad news. The people at the top are bad news. They're using kids and everything. It's just you're heavily involved in something that's just you're not going to get out of. By the way, one of the other tricks they use is leadership. They make you into a leader, and it appeals to egos. Fragile egos are another
Absolutely.
key to this whole thing. You'll be a leader. You'll be a leader. Oh, I'll be a leader. I'm not a leader in my own home. I'll be a leader out here. That'll be great. So there's where we are in our story. We're at this place where your children aren't happy, your ex-husband's not happy, you're extremely disappointed, blew up this marriage, you're drinking alcohol at wee hours or whatever it is. So that's where we are in our story of Alison. Now, Alison, what happened?
So there was one night that was really bad, like really bad. And I reached out to everyone in the upper echelon of the group, phone calls, text messages. I thought I was going to lose my life. I thought I can't do this anymore. I felt like I was bipolar, extreme highs, really low lows, and the alcohol wasn't helping. And I reached out to everyone, and I was totally ignored. And I was actually I was in fear of my life. And I reached out to Matt, and I said, I need help.
Wow.
I need help. Can you please help me? And he came around and he took me back to our home, and he just was Matt, and
Nurtured.
he nurtured and he loved, and he asked me very good questions. And then I absolutely fought to get him back. I had to do a lot of proving. And so the group left me. They all left me while I went on this downhill slide. And I fought for him. And after 6 weeks, I moved back into the family home. And we've all been together ever since, and have very open relationships with both boys and my husband. We talk about a lot. If the boys are feeling in any way sad or frustrated or angry, we sit and have conversations about it. Matt and I communicate a lot about our feelings. He's just been diagnosed with ADHD, so he's at 49. So, there's been a lot of work we've been able to do around that together. We both work on ourselves constantly. Another part of my business is I run a yoga studio, which is not culty at all. That was my big thing. And I spoke to Sarah Edmondson when I was opening this up, and I'm like, how do I make sure it's not culty? And she said, it comes from you. You make it not culty.
That's interesting. It's interesting you should say that, because it was actually pointed out to me all these years of belief that yoga was such a spiritual, enlightening thing. And then some people pointed out, it's a little culty, and it's self-involved, and that's narcissism. So again, I'm not knocking multi-level. I'm not knocking anything. I can knock my experiences, because I have experience. She's heavily into yoga as well. And it really is, when you think about it, it's like, I was thinking the other day, people make fun of muscle heads, guys who are muscle heads in front of the mirror all the time. It's the female equivalent of a muscle head.
Yeah.
It can be male too, but I mean, really, you're just as dedicated to the way you look and your body and stuff like that. And I'm sure, and obviously they say, well, you're getting to know yourself. But I talked to one woman, and she's now a big Christian, but she said it's actually like the Antichrist. She used to be a yoga teacher, and that's the first person to point it out. So I never realized it before. But the point is, not to knock anything, but I really want to be clear on that, anybody listening. But the point is that anything can be a cult.
Anything can be a cult. You can have a cult of one. I was in my family was a cult, and my cousin, who's 12 months older than me, she's 57. She's now realizing that the family was a cult. And
there's a name for it. Clan.
Clan, yeah.
There's a name for it. It's a clan. The Hatfields and the McCoys in the United States. There was a clan and a clan. They fought against each other. Then there's the Ku Klux Klan. There's a clan. It's a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, the KKK is a cult, aren't they? It's a clan. They call it a clan, but it's a cult. It's the same thing. So yeah, there's a lot of definitions. I had Sam on, he's an expert. I've had these experts on, and I keep trying to define this. That's what I'm doing each week.
Mm,
Guests or my own story or whatever it is. So people realize you're not alone. Either
mm.
you're in a cult, you're not alone, or you're the victim of somebody being in the cult, you're not alone. And to me, I want to thank you for giving me little bit of hope.
Oh, that's my pleasure.
I'm not looking for a restoring of the marriage because,
Mm.
unlike Matt, I don't know if I could ever trust this again. I mean, this is like she's done a lot of crimes. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like a little bit; it's a lot, and it continues, and it's
Mm,
scary. It really is scary because you wonder the next. I can't take when someone knocks on the door. That's how bad it is. That's the post traumatic stress I have. I think it's a cop. I think it's a child services. I think it's something. It's because I've seen it from my ex-wife before this was this way, by the way. I've done this twice. She was just in the cult.
what's the lesson in that, Craig?
I gotta watch myself, don't I? I really do. I am really starting to get conscious of my dating, actually. I really am. I'm looking for the signs. It's hard to break
Mm,
patterns, though.
mm.
It really is. My pattern is I'm a rescuer.
Yes.
So I'm really looking for somebody that has their own money and their own style and everything. I met someone recently, and you know what? She couldn't go out with me because I have kids. I got a lot going against me.
Mm,
I also don't drink alcohol. That goes against me. A lot of people want to party with someone. And, and some are saying, yeah, you got this crap going with your ex. You have a podcast about it. I'm not getting involved in that. So there's a lot of strikes. But a lot of my friends point out that I've got a lot to offer to somebody. So I'm going
mm.
to stay in faith and hope, and and the kids are doing really well, all things considered, and your kids are too. Now I'm sure they're happy you're
Yeah.
back together because there was no reason to be apart.
No, there
That's the
was
thing.
absolutely
My
no
kids, they have
reason.
they have no idea. I mean, what parents fighting is like. I've talked to
Mm,
people that go, "My parents needed to be divorced a long time before they were." They're not going to say that. They didn't see anything. Towards the end, they saw her violence towards me. But
mm,
even that was just from me confronting her, going, "Whoa, come back!" or "What are you doing? Stop doing whatever you know what I mean." But it wasn't some like incessant fight, and the only fight that was her leaving the marriage.
mm,
The fight was like, "Hey, commit to this damn thing. We're in this thing. We signed papers, we took vows, we committed, and all that stuff till death do you part." You don't go out that easy. But cults prey upon that. Oh, a contract is not a real contract.
mm.
Her guru, she calls her soul sister. What about your soul mate you had children with? That just goes out the window. You can say anything you want to yourself, can't you? When you stay in
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and it's she'd have sunk cost fallacy as well, that the fact that she's invested this time, she's invested this money, she's broken up her marriage, she's done this to the kids. So I think one of the most important lessons for me was, you said to me, you're being authentic, you're being vulnerable. I took full responsibility for everything. I took full responsibility. I stood there, I was vulnerable. I said, I have made the worst mistake of my life. I didn't care how much debt I was in. I needed to get rid of, I needed to be able to stand there and say to people, this is what I did. I was wrong. To all the people I took in there with me, I am so sorry.
Wow.
It was a great gift because it allowed me to know two things. One, that the stories that I was told about myself from my childhood trauma just weren't true, and that I could do things and I could help people and I could be a good person. And I was a good person inherently. And that, the sunk cost fallacy of, oh my God, I've been putting out there on social media that this group's been so amazing. Well, it's like, well, you know what? No, I made a mistake. I actually made a mistake. They aren't good people. I'm shutting it down and I'm just
You
stopping right
yeah.
now.
You know what I'm hearing? It's a little disappointing, but not from you, but that there was no intervention. It was your own intervention. And
No, it was
people keep
mine.
telling me this. She's got to be willing. It's not going to take. I keep thinking someone's going to talk to her, give her a talking to, or her dad or her mom or sister or
Oh,
best friend. I
no.
keep thinking that. Did your kids talk to you all during this and say, "Hey, you're making a mistake," or they just get
Yeah,
into it? My
yeah.
kids are a lot of it in acceptance as well as a little bit of confrontation. My son told me the other day. He told her that she's a phony. She says, that
Mm,
hurts me. Well, I'm thinking, well, talk about hurt. You hurt
good.
a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Quit making it
See,
about you. Selfish. Oh my God, the selfishness.
uh,
It's amazing to me. But
the kids definitely did, and friends definitely did.
oh, they
And,
did.
you'd report back to the group and they're like, oh, they're just jealous because look at you, you're
Yeah.
doing this and you're doing that. And very much, part of the isolation of getting you away from your friends and getting you, they didn't like that I went and did my yoga teacher training and I found a new tribe here that I was hanging around with in Sydney, because that was taking time away from the group. And it's, what can we do to get her away from these people? And they even started, especially the guy, like, was starting, oh, that guy there, you shouldn't be talking to him because this is what he wants from you. And I'm like, oh, really? Is that what's going on? And
Mm,
very, very much isolating you. And, your family caused your trauma, Alison. So why would you speak to them anyway? And it's, yeah, it's the tactics that they use. And they go to sleep every night and they wake up every morning recruiting more people, doing the
right.
stuff.
That's right.
COVID,
Every
COVID
day.
shut, yeah,
Every
COVID
day.
shut the
Every
face to
day.
face down
Every
every
day,
day,
that's what they do. She lives to
every
do this.
day.
Another video and another post, another BS post, and look at me, look at me. And I'm looking, I'm going, she's posing with this new guy. It's the same smile, same words that she said about me only a couple years ago. Same exact thing. And now I'm looking back and going, I wish she didn't even say that about me. Because now, which is the truth? Is it this guy, me? Which is
Mm,
the truth of what you're saying? It's all not the truth. None of it's the truth, because
no,
of what's going on inside is something very deep and dark. You had a dark thing going on for you. I'm so
mhm,
glad you found the light. I'm so glad you're back with your family. And I'm so glad you
thank
came on
you.
my podcast today. You're amazing.
Thank you.
How do
It's
we
been
find
absolutely wonderful.
how do we find you? If we want to get hypnotized. Oh, can I get Lotus to go see you? Do you do Zoom?
I, I do Zoom. I have clients all over the world.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna tell her.
Don't put me in it, Craig.
No, here's what we're gonna do. This is between us.
Okay.
I'm gonna somehow get the kids or something to suggest to see you that you're really, because she is seeing this one other guy, but she trusts this guy a little bit. She does a little bit. She only dips her toe into the water. She gets scared if
Mhm.
she gets confronted. But you know the information, so you can hypnotize. All right, I'm going to get her to go to you. How do we find you?
Excellent. So I'm on social media, Instagram and Facebook as Alasana Hypnotherapy. So that's ALAS for Sam, ANA Hypnotherapy. And my website is www.alasana.com.
Nice. Thank you so
Amazing.
much. Bless you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Tell Matt he's a hero for me.
Thank you. I will.
And
He is an amazing man.
I admire him. And, it takes a lot of courage to go through this and be on the other side of this. And men we don't have the vulnerability. We don't have the support system. We're not allowed to complain. We're not, like I said, there's this person that kind of went after me saying, oh, it's a guy who's bitter or whatever. That's how it comes across was to some people. I think they project their own stuff, but I know where my heart is. I know my heart is with my family. I love my family so much, and I want what's best for them. So, and I want what's best for everybody's family. So that's why we have this.
Beautiful.
And I really appreciate you coming on. All right, Alison.
No, thank you.
What do they say in Australia? Ta-ta. They don't say that, do they?
No. We say see you later.
See you later. See you later.
Yeah, see you later, Craig.
Bye, Alison.